Hello, Manny.
And a big, big, big congrats on the Pradeeps of Pittsburgh or the Pradeeps of Pittsburgh. It's
Ooh,
fun and funny and very relatable. I binge watched all the eight
I think I
episodes.
had one pause.
Um, so, Mr. Vijal,
Me. I hope it's not me.
oh, is everything okay? Oh, 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 there you are.
There we go. I'm back.
All right. So, Mr. Vijal, before we begin, describe the Pradeeps of Pittsburgh in your own words to our viewers.
The Pradeeps of Pittsburgh is a hilarious comedy about a hilarious family who've immigrated to the United States from India and immediately run into obstacles. Immediately. Like there's not even a second of the crap not hitting the fan for them. What happens is they rally together. Sometimes they come apart, sometimes they come together. And through that, we learn about their families, their dreams, how some of their dreams interrupted the other people's dreams, you know. So it's a real relatable family story told all as an interrogation, right? An interrogation of this family for something that went sideways. That's the fun of the storytelling.
Well, take us from the very beginning. What made you want to put your personal experiences on the screen? I mean, why did you want to create the series? Give us a genesis, real quick.
Well, my family actually moved from India to Pittsburgh when I was the age of the young boy. And what I like to say is the comedy and the trauma at the same time happening was so undeniable that it imprinted on my DNA. I wanted to tell, I didn't even know I wanted to make this a TV show. I'm like, oh, this has defined me as a person. Just moving here like this and all the crazy stuff that happened, which at the time seemed so dramatic, but with distance is like, oh, that's hilarious. And then when I became a TV writer, I'm like, well, I want to tell this story. The reason I want to tell this story is because I know everybody will relate to it, right? On one side or the other. Either somebody knows somebody who's immigrated here, or somebody who's immigrated here, or somebody knows somebody who's left their country and gone to another country. So even in people in India will watch this like, oh yes, this is like our my cousin who went to America. So they'll be able to watch it from that point perspective. So that's why I want to tell the story. And I always draw for myself only because that's how I write is it's easier and better for me to write the comedy that's within. So I'm like, let me just draw all that into the show.
That's why I said it's very relatable. I mean, I'm an immigrant and I came here, but I didn't have any of the problems that the producer face. Thank God. But
Oh, Manny, you're lucky. You're
you
lucky.
you talked briefly about the narrative mechanism you employed in the series. It's very interesting to me, the flashbacks and the storytelling. The problem is they're all unreliable narrators. And I think that's where comedic gold comes from, right? Talk to us briefly about that.
So the reason we I wanted to do that is because I wanted because the story has so many rich characters, I wanted every character to be able to tell their story. So, and because as a writer, I'm like, I need to motivate why they're telling their story. And I want to say, but I also want to tell their story, like you said, unreliably. And then I'm like, well, why are people unreliable in the way they tell a story? Well, it's usually to serve themselves. Why do people serve themselves in telling a story unreliably? When does that usually happen? And then I'm like, it's usually when they're in trouble, right? I think back to when I would embellish stories. It's I'm in trouble. That is where we got to the point of, oh, let's put them in an interrogation for maybe they're in trouble. Something's weird. They have to tell a story because something is serious. That just, to your point, gave us, it was comedy gold. It was, we were just like printing comedy, you know, dollars because it was just like, oh, this is the best device.
So, Vijal, with the Pradeep family, who do you identify with? The sweet Kamal, the optimistic Vinod, or the Americanized, even the Americanized Banu?
All three of them, honestly. And they, but most of all, Vino, because that little boy, that was me when we first moved to America. I was like, oh my God, a garbage truck. And like, oh
Dumpster
my
truck.
goodness, I was that at that literally. I would say
Happened to you?
the first 15 minutes of the pilot is just from my diary. It's exactly what happened. And then, you know, it starts becoming more fictionalized. But that experience of like the joy and wonder of being in even this like snowy Pittsburgh and the optimism and I loved America too. So like Banu immediately assimilating, that was me too. And so I would put a little bit of my family, but I most relate to Vinod because my goodness.
But you didn't have any white straight dude neighbor.
Right? Exactly.
Now, my final question, Mr. Vijal. The Pradeeps of Pittsburgh will start streaming on Amazon Prime on the 17th. What do you hope for viewers to get after watching the series besides being entertained?
I want them to see that there are amazing family stories from, all different voices that we want more of these stories that are being told to us that are representing a culture, a voice, and experience, but that connect to us universally. And that's what I hope. I hope the Pradeeps of Pittsburgh is just the beginning of many, many shows like this, that have a novel storytelling that kind of takes an old genre and makes it fun and hilarious and heartwarming and uplifting in a whole new way for all new generations.
I think you succeeded, Mr. Vijal. So a big congrats on the Pradeeps of Pittsburgh. And taking a cue from the series, we can French kiss the Indian way.
Thank you, Manny. Oh, I love it. I love it.